Hey y'all!
Welcome to Southern Sober and Sassy. And I approached Christy about today. Guess what we're talking about? Unapologetically sober.
I know that's right.
Unapologetically sober. Now, I'm going to tell you where I got this from. So, my badass recovery, I went to She Recovers. It was in 2022. It was in Miami. I went to the She Recovers conference and I got to meet the founder of my badass recovery. And she has a shirt and I bought it and it said unapologetically sober. And for some reason, that has really been harping on me this week. And so that's where we're opening up, and that's what we're talking about today. And we're so glad you're here with us. And so let's jump in and dive in, girl.
I'm all about not being sorry for getting better. Makes me want to cry. Let me count the ways. This is the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life besides motherhood. Okay, so I'm 56 years old. If anyone were to ask me, Christy, what is the hardest thing you've ever done in your life? Getting sober would be at the top of the list. It was that hard. However, it is the very best thing that has happened to me in my life. I am not sorry for getting sober. I will continue to preach it from the hilltops that it works and nothing or no one will ever take it from me. No one will ever take that from me. It cost me so much. But I'll tell you what it cost me. And it cost my guts being laid out on the table. All of my defects, all of my lies, all of my secrets. It cost me all of that to be courageous enough to say, all right, I'm willing to sit down at the table across from a woman that loves me and is not going to judge me when I just spew it all out there and come to a moment of freedom at the end of that day, that I never, ever, ever have to look at that or think about that or relive that ever again in my life. And girlfriend, I could get on my soapbox about this, so I'm gonna let you take back over because I could just keep going on and on and on. So
Well, you know,
whew.
a lot of people, everybody has fear of getting sober. I understand that. But, being sober doesn't mean we're boring. It doesn't mean we're broken. And it doesn't mean we're behind. And, I'll tell you, I've lost, because when I came home, from my hiatus of 2 years, they told me, and this was before I ever jumped into the rooms of 12-step recovery. They told me people, places, and things. And it's funny how there were people before I went away that just started distancing themselves from me. And then when I came home, I had the desire to distance myself from them, right? My old stomping grounds. And there's relationships and friendships that I lost and have lost over the past 16 years. And I'm okay with that. Because yes, I am different. Yes, I'm not the party girl that I used to be. I'm not ready to tie one on anymore. My tying on is drinking my sleepy time tea and going to bed sometimes at 9 a.m. and reading a good book. But I'm still fun. I think people they underestimate recovery in the fact that they think it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. It's like I can remember what I did yesterday, and I can remember what I did last night, and I can remember what I said. And I think which rolls into you is what you and I were talking about earlier, talking about amends. You know what? I don't have to make amends anymore for my crazy ass the day before.
Right.
I don't have to go and make amends. Now, if I was mean, I do a lot better on that, Christy. I think, don't you think? Mm-hmm. I do a lot better. I don't go a couple of weeks if I was mean. I pretty much I come back and say I'm sorry. Not only sorry, because sorry is just a word, an apology. That is the changed behavior. Remember that. Apology is our changed behavior. Amends our changed behavior. But unapologetically sober, for so long in my life, I didn't know who I was. And so I said sorry all the time. And someone told me recently, maybe it was you. Stop wasting your sorries.
Mm-hmm.
Stop wasting your apologies when you don't save them for meaningful things. People pleasing drives us to say, I'm sorry. Even if you're driving and someone cuts in front of you and you have to swerve and you're saying, I'm sorry. Why are you sorry?
Well, recovery slows things down. Recovery slows your life down to where you look at the behavior of why I owe an apology, or why I need to go back and say I'm sorry when we're sitting here with 5, 10, 15, 20 years sober. I nothing in active addiction was slow. It was just all so fast. It was just one big ball of problems, one big ball of chaos, that hell yeah, the word sorry was coming out of my mouth every 5 minutes because I had a lot to be sorry for. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But now, so much of recovery is so much of early recovery is getting rid of problems. Like that, my sponsor sat me down at a table and said, we are going to look at just your problems and find the solution to them, to where the end result is that you don't have any problems. And I was like, oh wow, that sounds very exciting. I've never lived a life without any problems before. Now, on that note, on that day that we were going to talk about my problems and get rid of them, I showed up with about 100 problems. And she said, well, you only have about 20. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, the other 80 are either just made up or there's somebody else's problems. And your ego is telling you that they're your problem too. So we're going to get rid of 80 of the make-believe problems and everybody else's problems. And we're just going to focus on the 20 that are actually real problems. And that busted my ego, fast. So anyway, we looked at those 20 problems, and the majority of that required an amends on my behalf. And an apology or a sorry and an amends are two different things. An amends is changed behavior. Changed behavior takes time. From going from selfish to unselfish and going from mean to kind. Okay, those are just two examples. That takes time. Okay, so I didn't get to go and make amends right off the bat. I had to change my behavior for several weeks before it became a new habit, and I was operating more in unselfishness than I was selfishness before I was allowed to go and make amends, because otherwise it would have been a lie, and all of those other people would have been like, oh, here she comes again. She's full of crap. So it took a lot of time. My sponsor held me accountable for every step that I made along the lines, and she was like, you're not ready yet, you're not ready, try harder, do better. So much of my problem was my mouth. She said, just be quiet and you'll solve 19 of your 20 problems. Just be quiet. So she busted my ego even more, but she was right. And boy, that pissed me off. And but she wasn't budging. And I had to stay sober. And she was hardcore rigid with me, and she needed to be, because I defaulted to rebellion. And that was, something else that I very much so needed to work on. I needed humility. I needed to learn to conform. I needed to say, you know what? I'm willing to listen. And I'm going to actually let you talk. You know, I'm sure my children can be very appreciative of that. All I did was talk. I sucked at listening as a mother. I sucked at it. Anyway, um, I am willing to change my behavior and get on the other side to where when I do go back and I do make those amends, that they are sincere. Keyword is sincere. And that I don't have intentions of backtracking. That I don't have intentions of backtracking. And that I am true to myself first and then second. And then it'll be a ripple effect. Anyway, as a result of that, to practice that new behavior, practice that new behavior. Hell yeah, I got on the other side of unapologetically sober. I earned it. Yes, I did. And I do not mean to come across as prideful or ego in any way. But when you lay your guts out on the table and you're willing to be corrected, to still have those loving relationships in your life, yes, I worked my butt off for it. Yes, I will not apologize for the beautiful, wonderful life that has been given to me. No, I will not take advantage of a good thing. Oh, sorry, I'm on my soapbox.
No, it's okay. I think too that we find ourselves, especially people early in recovery, that are just figuring it out, saying, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, I'm sorry for this, and continuing to say, I'm sorry. The opposite side of them, the people, the family, loved ones, friends, colleagues, I believe they give us a lot more grace than we think they give us.
That's
right?
True.
And I think we need to allow them to give us grace. But just like you said, an apology is that changed behavior. And if you're just like you say, okay, I'm going to entertain not drinking. I'm not, I'm going to give up the liquor and I'm just going to go to wine, or I'm going to give up the liquor and just go to beer. And I've seen clients be so proud of this. Mm-hmm. And say, listen, I'm downsizing, I'm doing better. And their loved ones is like chirping. They're supposed to quit drinking, And it's a process for some people. So we have to give them grace. And families have to realize that they're not in control. And I think the families and loved ones and people and peers around someone getting sober is not having that word expectations. Because Shakespeare tells us expectations lead to heartache. Right? So if they're still stubbing their toe, my strong suggestion for you as all of the surrounding people of this, your loved one, your family member, your friend, your colleague getting sober is go and take care of yourself. Look in the mirror and see what your part is. Don't continue, because I find that families, especially of adult children, families continually enable their loved one. Oh no, it's okay. They keep on letting it slide and slide and slide when there's a difference between that boundary, and there's a boundary without consequences, and there's boundaries with consequences. And so as a family member, when we set boundaries with a loved one who is getting sober, it is just as much our responsibility to hold true to that boundary that it is for your loved one who is getting sober.
That's so true.
And what I mean by that is you're not doing them a favor by slacking on the boundary. This goes unapologetically sober, also goes for family members, loved ones, colleagues of your significant other getting sober. Because if you don't hold true to those boundaries, what are the boundaries even for?
Yep.
You're not helping them, you're hindering them. And you're hindering yourself, because you can look at your loved one all day long and say, well, you said this and you said this. Flip that mirror. We're just having a podcast about mirroring. Turn around the mirror and look at yourself. If you can't hold boundaries, you're just as wrong as that loved one. If you set a boundary, boundaries are not made to be in anger or angst. They're, something that Everybody needs boundaries.
It's healthy protection.
Yes, healthy protection. It is your responsibility to not apologize for setting a boundary. If you set a boundary and then apologize for it, it's not a boundary.
Right.
So don't apologize. Stop apologizing. I think there was a book. Stop apologizing.
Well, what is an apology for? An apology is for something that I did wrong. So let's just slow it all the way down. What is an apology for? It is because I have done something wrong. Well, if I gave you a boundary, I haven't done anything wrong. So many people get that twisted. A boundary is not punishment. A boundary is healthy protection for you and for them. You have not done anything wrong. Your brain defaults to, oh, that's wrong, just because it's something different. You gave someone a boundary and you did something different. Just because you do something different doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because you do something different doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. Relax. You don't owe an apology for it. You haven't done anything wrong. It helps them and it helps you. Now, if you backtrack and you let that boundary down, then it hurts them and it hurts you. Talk is cheap. Talk is so cheap. Mean what you say what you mean, just don't say it mean. No is a complete sentence.
And the topic, and I had originally said unapologetically sober. How about unapologetically in my recovery? And what I mean by that is, I always say we're always recovering from someone, from somewhere, from something. Or no, we're recovering, yes, from someone or something from somewhere. Okay, that's the bottom line. So even in friendships, relationships, even if you're not even struggling with addiction, fine, that is a beautiful thing. But why are you apologizing? Why are you apologizing? What do you apologize? Because you deserve more? Then you start having to go backwards and say, okay, why do I feel undeserving? And why am I apologizing for setting a boundary, like you said? Or why am I apologizing because I didn't want to go do something? I'm sorry. Like somebody asks you to a concert and you say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Why are you sorry if you're not interested?
Mm-hmm. I did not realize how much I said I'm sorry. And I did not realize how kind of annoying it was to other people until I got a sponsee that's all that she said was, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I was like, please, there's no reason for you to be sorry. At first, it was, I was very compassionate about it, and I knew that she was learning a new behavior. And I would say to her, you say I'm sorry a lot, and there is no reason for, and I'm not going to allow that. Because if I did allow you to keep saying I'm sorry to me when you don't owe me an apology, then I would be doing a disservice to you. My job is to help correct what the defect is. And so I would make her aware of it, but then she kept doing it. And then she kept doing it. And then she kept doing it. And so my boundary would just get a little bit firmer and a little bit firmer and a little bit firmer. And then finally I said to her one day, if you keep apologizing, then maybe we need to take a break, and you need to go back and you need to study what we have already gone over, because you are now choosing to not learn a new behavior. I've made you aware of this for months. And so that is now called a defiant attitude. And that was the game changer. That's when that boundary got very strong. And that's when she changed. And she rarely says, I'm sorry now. But when she does, we both always laugh at it. We laugh because it took so much work for her to understand just how much she said it.
Yeah.
And now it's such a celebration. We laugh because she is unapologetically free from that now. And we laugh about it, So it's recovery is not all doom and gloom, It's like, lay your guts out on the table just for one day and let's talk about it and then let's move on, And Amy and I still have things that, the majority of the time we're healthy women, but we have bad days. The wreckage of our past will show up. Sometimes we'll get tired and shit happens in life and we have a bad day and we roll through it and we laugh about it and we keep on rolling. But we've also learned to wear life like a loose garment. We don't have to look at everything so freaking serious all the damn time to where an apology is probably going to be needed. It's not. Because we don't take life so seriously anymore. And we don't have to. And it doesn't have to be that hard. Because now we see. I'm willing to do the work on me. I'm willing to let you do the work on you. And then we're going to go enjoy life and laugh and be happy. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah. When you start a sentence out with "I am sorry,"
but
exactly, just cautiously choose your words and pause. Don't react. Learn how to respond, and stop saying you're sorry for things you continuously do. Just stop.
There was a lady back in Nashville, and the way that she learned to stop saying I'm sorry was, it was so habitual for her that her sponsor would, every single time that she said sorry, the word sorry, she would have to stand up, put her finger on her nose, and turn around twice and sit back down. That's how bad that was. But she did not realize how subconsciously she was saying that. And that's how she broke that habit.
I think that you just need to be cautious of your words. And, people pleasers, especially in their fine element of people pleasing, they apologize, but that word, we should not have a but when we're making an apology. I'm sorry, but I can't do this. How about I can't do this? Why are you apologizing, especially when you didn't want to do it in the first place? That's opening up the window, and it's actually, you're being a victim.
Right. A friend of mine said, she said, Christy, I don't want to is an acceptable answer. And I was like, whoa. I mean, that just gets down to the raw brass tacks of it.
Yep.
So when I heard her say that, I was like, man, that is like my new go-to, because it's true. If Amy were to say, hey, do you want to go to the beach tomorrow? Old behavior would be, I'm sorry, but I can't. New behavior would be, thank you, but I'm not up for it. I did not say, I'm sorry. I started with a thank you. Thank you, but I'm not up for it. Thank you, but I'm going to stay home and rest instead. It's an honest answer for me and her. Oh my gosh, heaven forbid I tell the truth and say, I don't want to.
Yeah. Not up for it.
Or I'm not up for it. Yeah. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
You don't have to say the word sorry.
You don't, because, and there's also people in our lives that continue to apologize and we just take it. You're doing yourself and them a disservice, because all you're doing is building up resentments when you know the sorry is coming.
Right. So the answer to that is I do not accept your apology. Every time that sponsee would say to me, "Oh, I'm sorry," not every time, but when she was starting to really try and break that habit, and she would say to me, "I'm sorry," I would say to her, "I don't accept your apology." And I would just push it right back. I would push it right back. I would push it. I don't accept your apology. Finally, that was just a different method of breaking that that pattern of behavior. It broke it for me because I did not accept an empty apology, and it broke the pattern for her because she was apologizing for something that she never did anything wrong. So that's just another different method that you can use.
I like that too. So this was a quick, unapologetically being in recovery. We just wanted to jump in and share this information with you. We're always here for you. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio. We're still growing. We're still working on this, and we're just grateful. Like us and start following us. Share this podcast with a friend that you think needs us, and we're always here. info at pursuitofrecovery.com. You can reach us. Send us your topics. Send us your questions. Send us your ideas, and we will get them on. And also, we will honor you on the podcast.
Yeah.
So have a great, fabulous rest of your day.
Thank
Bye.
you. See you next time.